Hello, it is great to be with you today in such a vibrant, giving, and creative place where we have constant reasons to be reminded of how fortunate we are to call Athens home. Of course, the times all of us have endured in the last 24 months require us to reflect on what we've learned and to continue to draw strength from one another. If you are hearing this message, you surely have been knocked about by the great physical, emotional, and economic tsunami that this era has brought to our doorstep. So many among us have lost friends, family members, parents, grandparents, mentors, or colleagues, and it is only human to acknowledge the way it has left us winded at times. As we look forward to a year of immense possibility for the Athens-Clarke County community, we can also take stock of the wealth of resources in front of us, as well as the great work this community has done taking care of one another over these last 2 years. While challenges remain that we need to acknowledge and address, we have maintained the lowest mortality rate from COVID-19 of any urbanized county in Georgia, and we've simultaneously experienced unprecedented new investment and economic success, all while making great strides forward in supporting all Athenians. For our engine to be firing on all cylinders, I need to thank each and every member of our community. From all those who paid careful attention to safe protocols, to everyone who ordered a meal from a local restaurant or caterer, to the dedicated Athens-Clarke County Unified Government workforce, supported by Manager Blaine Williams, along with our constitutional officers, judiciary, and my colleagues on the County Commission, and most of all, the tireless medical staff at our amazing hospitals and community clinics. As we look to the time ahead, there are interlocking circles that will continue to draw us together in common cause, including economic prosperity for all Athenians, attention to the physical infrastructure that undergirds our success, and mutual care for our community needs. We continue to experience historically low unemployment, having dropped to pre-pandemic levels of 2.5% by this recent December of 2021. Business expansion has been a great source of pride in recent years, with more than $315 million of permits issued in 2021 in terms of project value, an historical record. And here in your local government, we've streamlined redevelopment processes for stormwater management and refined our requirements related to grading single-family neighborhoods as two significant process improvements. In addition, retail spending in Athens is at an all-time high and is the highest in Northeast Georgia, both in terms of total annual revenue and when measured per capita. Simply put, businesses are expanding and people are spending money here in Athens. Significant new jobs in Athens include hundreds of new positions at RWDC, who make a replacement for plastic from used vegetable oil, an innovation birthed at UGA. Jobs also are at Boehringer Ingelheim, who are doing critical work in animal vaccine development, at the Classic Center, whose world-class arena will be opening late next year, and at Wayfair, who've occupied the former General Time facility. Other businesses that have expanded or permitted additional operations in the last 2 years include Publix, Creature Comforts, Hayward Allen Toyota, REI, and scores of new businesses. And now, just as the University of Georgia rightly promotes the great work their research and development faculty and staff do in bringing products developed on campus to market, and we continue to partner with them on many of those operations, here in Athens-Clarke County, we're also working to make it just as easy for entrepreneurs who are starting from their kitchen table by bringing resources to bear to ensure that all have access to planning and permitting knowledge and technical support. Our Economic Development Office has worked with the Enterprise Innovation Institute to complete an innovation ecosystem needs assessment focused on the needs of entrepreneurs of color, women entrepreneurs, and creative entrepreneurs. Findings from this work will be the plan for the job of the small business and entrepreneurship professional that's going to be hired this spring with funds that the Commission has already allocated. Given heightened local incentives for redevelopment, which includes the creation of 6 tax allocation districts and creation of an inclusionary zoning policy, about which I'll mention more in a minute, we are going to see even more investment in Athens in the months and years ahead. This will include a nearly $500 million revitalization of the Georgia Square Mall site and new business activity in Beechwood, Newton Bridge Road, Barnett Shoals Road, the Athens Tech area, and other locations throughout the community. Any community that has a growing employment base also must take housing needs seriously, as local realtors have identified that housing inventory is at a modern era low. In one significant residential development, the first phase of our North Downtown project is now underway at the site of the former Bethel Midtown Village, which will bring more than 1,000 new bedrooms to the core of our community, many of them priced in reach of nurses, teachers, and service industry professionals. This public-private partnership, made possible through our SPLOST program, will be joined by much-needed new housing stock across a variety of price points in Athens, including with support of more than $11 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds, and facilitated by the previously mentioned inclusionary zoning policy, which was approved by our Planning Commission last month and is poised for final approval in a few weeks by the County Commission. This will invite the creation of homes in locations that are crumbling or serve now only as vast seas of asphalt parking. This will help accommodate many of the more than 40,000 people who must drive into Athens to work every day for lack of housing availability. And as this redevelopment happens, it will include homes that are permanently affordable for the workforce that is so critical to our collective success. To continue these economic development and housing strides, we must maintain key investments in the physical infrastructure that ties us together. In addition to the road maintenance embedded in our annual capital program, we'll be investing more heavily in road safety in the coming years, continuing the safety audits that we have done locally and in conjunction with the Georgia Department of Transportation, and expanding the safety work that we've funded on Millage Avenue and West Broad Street to other corridors, including Tallahassee Road. We intend to enhance our transit service this year through our T-SPLOST program to create higher frequency service on key corridors, layering this on top of the business expansions and new housing stock that I've discussed to highlight our place as a modern city in which owning a vehicle is not the only means of mobility. We will also work with the ATL, Metro Atlanta's regional transit planning body, as they have recommended a scheduled bus route connecting MARTA to our multimodal center. If implemented, this would mean that a student or commuter would no longer need to white knuckle it behind the wheel to attend a work meeting in Atlanta or go see mom for the weekend. Adding to the nearly 1.5 miles of new sidewalks recently installed at places that include Barnett Shoals Road, Baxter Street, and West Broad Street, there will be several pedestrian and trail upgrades that we will see this year. They include completion of the North Oconee River Greenway segment directly connecting Oconee Street and College Station Road through the Oconee Hills Cemetery, alongside the extension of the Firefly Trail to downtown Winterville, replacement of the Tallahassee Road Bridge over the rail line, and thank heavens, completion of the downtown infrastructure improvements on Clayton Street. If you've not strolled down the smooth, wide sidewalk on Clayton between Lumpkin Street and Jackson Street, do yourself a favor, and after you listen to this, head down there with a friend to grab a hot cup of coffee and do some shopping. Over at our airport, we've completed pavement rehabilitation on the main taxiway, which includes new lighting and enhanced taxiway turn radii, and reconstruction of the secondary runway is happening this year. And of course, while the pandemic temporarily paused some travel activity, airport management has opened the door for communications with several airlines and will continue to work to get future passenger service back in Athens. We are also taking care of our aging storm drains. In the last year, Transportation and Public Works staff replaced 10 failing culverts utilizing in-house forces, which were funded by our stormwater utility fee. Many of these were constructed decades ago of corrugated pipe and are replaced by more rigid concrete. And knowing that it's been more than 15 years since we reviewed the structure of our stormwater management program, I initiated a stormwater advisory committee last year, in which residents and experts have been taking a deep dive into issues surrounding the level of service associated with the stormwater fee. Our commitment to sustainability continues in earnest. The Sustainability Office undertook extensive community engagement over the last year for our clean energy campaign, gathering information from the public, community organizations, and businesses during dozens of sessions to create a path to renewable energy for a plan that will be unveiled this summer. Related activities include a $200,000 Georgia Environmental Finance Authority grant to install a solar and battery storage system at the Family Protection Center that will keep that facility functioning in the event of an electrical grid failure. And we have ordered our first complement of fully electric buses, which will be arriving at the beginning of 2023. All of this is part of ACC's efforts to transition to clean and renewable energy sources and save taxpayer money in the process. Since its creation in 2017, the programs and activities sponsored by or coordinated by the Sustainability Office have generated more than $2.5 million in grants and donations and brought more than $600,000 in operational savings. And by the end of our SPLOST program in 2030, we will be saving over $1 million a year. Because maintenance of our natural environment is an important piece of sustainability, our Restore Our River project has removed invasive plants from acres between College Avenue and North Avenue on the Oconee River Greenway, as well as in Dudley Park, with preservation of an additional 30 acres of high priority habitats upcoming. Work thus far has included valuable partnerships with the UGA Sustainability Office for native plant provision and funding by the nonprofit One Tree in partnership with Caterpillar. We continue to take public safety extremely seriously and recognize that conversations about public safety must be had with the necessary complexity and breadth of understanding. We are grateful that the dramatic spikes in crime that have afflicted so many similarly sized communities throughout the state have not been present here to the same degree, and that overall crime has decreased in Athens over the last 2 years as it had for the 25 years prior. While many comparable communities in Georgia experienced several dozen murders each in 2021, Athens-Clarke saw only 4. However, each of these murders was a life ended much too soon. And to prevent further deaths, we have more work to do. Just as the rise that has occurred in specific categories of crime such as aggravated assault and motor vehicle theft needs to be swiftly addressed. When it comes to safety from crime, we must recognize that interdiction of drug, weapon, and human trafficking is an element of our support for human dignity and for the sanctity of our homes and neighborhoods in Athens. And so retention of a skilled police officer force is critical. Thus, we've taken a large stride in terms of compensation for our officers in the last year, raising starting salaries to $47,000 a year, on top of which we offer a $3,000 signing bonus. I will be recommending a further salary hike this year, bringing starting pay to almost $50,000 a year. In addition, I'm asking for reinitiation of our police department core program so that young people who have grown up in Athens can be trained in law enforcement and lend their deep knowledge of this community to careers in caring for their friends and neighbors. We also recognize that technology and force multipliers can more rapidly solve crimes and stem the tide of additional crimes. Already this year, we've approved purchase of a ballistics analysis device, which will prevent delays in sending bullets found to the GBI and then receiving results weeks later. And I'll be recommending additional investments in cameras and safety by design analysis. If we can create spaces that are less crime prone, we benefit the community at large and the professional efforts of our investigators alike. Knowing that incidents of police violence across the United States have scarred the consciousness of so many, and to ensure we do not replicate any of these traumatic episodes, we also have initiated a Public Safety Civilian Oversight Board this year, so that law enforcement and community members have a formal platform to exchange observations and recommendations. In this, we join many hundreds of communities throughout the nation, both small and large, in creating a bridge to greater understanding, building upon existing efforts from within the department and within the community. We do know that a national phenomenon that has sadly afflicted our region is that we are living amidst a behavioral health crisis, which presents itself in chemical dependency and homelessness alike. Just as this nation saw over 100,000 overdose deaths last year for the first time ever, officers in our police department have responded many dozens of times in the last year with overdose prevention treatments. To expand our response toolbox, we took a huge step this year with creation of the Alternative Crisis Response Team to address clearly nonviolent episodes of behavioral health need. That team is in addition to the 7 approved co-responder units, pairing police officers with clinicians from Advantage Behavioral Health Services. That program has become a statewide model, and we field calls weekly from other communities regarding its success. In the coming year, we'll be pursuing an expansion of inpatient bed space for behavioral health needs through our SPLOST program, as well as utilizing an additional $4 million through the American Rescue Plan Act for related needs. We will also work with our partners in the Homeless Coalition to pursue a comprehensive homeless service strategic plan and fund the initial element of that plan. I anticipate it will include both comprehensive case management needs, so those individuals who've been challenged by circumstance can get back to productive lives and their families, as well as a commitment to the rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing options that are in such short supply in this very tight housing market. I am heartened that after years in which Athens was the only homeless service provider between Atlanta and Greenville, that Gwinnett County has opened bed space for unsheltered persons this year, and other neighboring counties have shown similar interest as they recognize the stress felt by family members in their own jurisdictions. We are also grateful for the work of our state and federal partners, with both Georgia House Speaker David Ralston and U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock introducing new funding and operational remedies addressing this behavioral health crisis in their respective bodies in recent months. We know that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we will be further expanding our youth development efforts this year to ensure that we make generational investments in opportunity for our children and grandchildren, and that they will be less likely to need the crisis response resources that I've just described. We seek to support all of our young people through their developmental years, particularly those who've been most at risk given long-standing patterns of segregation and resource deprivation. From monumental investments in neighborhood revitalization to partnerships with the Clarke County School District, Athens Technical College, and the University of Georgia, we will not stop until every young person has the optimal position from which to begin a healthy, productive life. Our internal youth support agency, our Leisure Services Department, converted outdated computer labs this year into teen technology labs at Hurd Park, at Lay Park, and at Rock Springs Park. These upgraded spaces have modern computers and technology equipment that allows young people to learn robotics, creative design, podcasting, virtual reality game production, and so much more. Speaking of our Leisure Services Department, for the 9th time in 19 years, the department received the prestigious Georgia Recreation and Park Association's State Agency of the Year Award for populations between 80,000 and 150,000. This award is based on outstanding programs and accomplishments over the past year, as voted on by parks and recreation professionals from throughout the state. Fantastic new resources are also forthcoming in the next 2 years, with prioritization of the new Eastside Library and the Eastside Youth Development Complex through our SPLOST program. Knowing the generational impact these facilities will make, we've front-loaded them in the sequence of voter-approved capital expenditures, ensuring that we break ground on these projects as soon as possible. We have also recently approved 2 allocations for youth development programming, in which we will partner with the amazing array of grassroots nonprofit youth service providers that we are blessed to have in our community. To kickstart efforts, we are providing $500,000 for nonprofits for summer 2022 to keep our young people positively engaged in the near term. This will be joined by an additional $6.5 million of funds for youth-serving nonprofits in the coming 4 years, With this longer-term effort, we are building a critical partnership with both the nonprofit community and the Clarke County School District to ensure that there are strong systemic ties among all of those who have the best interests of our coming generations of young leaders in mind. Beyond our engagement with our young residents, we continue to strive to be a fully inclusive government. To support these efforts, our Inclusion Office has developed an Equity Impact Assessment tool to evaluate SPLOST projects and American Rescue Plan funded projects. We also worked with the Human Rights Campaign and saw our Municipal Equality Index score improve from 29 in 2020 to 68 in 2021, partly in response to the passage of our non-discrimination ordinance. In this, we joined Decatur, Brookhaven, Atlanta, and other successful cities throughout Georgia. To achieve tangible gains for those who've been under-supported, we have also funded a disparity study as the first step to a program to ensure that disadvantaged businesses get a fair opportunity to secure government contracts with Athens-Clarke County. As your local government, we also strive to be a model employer, with every position in the unified government now beginning at no less than $15 an hour. In addition, our Human Resources Department has hired an equity, diversity, and inclusion professional to ensure that the Athens-Clarke County government workforce fully represents the diversity of population within our jurisdiction. We also seek to support those members of our community who may be transitioning back from incarceration or supervision. Our Central Services Department has partnered with the Department of Corrections to begin offering the on-the-job training certificate program to returning citizens while working in landscape maintenance and print shop programs. This training and experience allows participants to receive certification from the Technical College System of Georgia, which can be used as a foundation from which to seek full-time employment in the community. This year, I will also be recommending funding for expanded use of the Transition Center segment of our Corrections Department so that we employ people who are transitioning out of incarceration while creating new opportunities for those people's work lives and new opportunities for our community. This will allow us to further our corridor beautification efforts in the coming fiscal year, including partnering with Keep Athens-Clarke County Beautiful, who recently launched the new Love Where You Live campaign to heighten the great staff and volunteer litter remediation and beautification efforts that they pursue. I mentioned the efforts of Keep Athens-Clarke County Beautiful last, because as a largely volunteer effort, they exemplify the spirit of the classic city, a place where each of you provides so much time, energy, and commitment in this community year in, year out, whether in normal times, in crisis response, or in our new normal. So, I want to again recognize the individual efforts that each of you make to this healthy, vibrant community. As you ready your children for school in the morning, as you open your business each day, and as you care for your neighbors and provide the grace and generosity that is a foundation of Athens life, I cannot thank you enough, and I wish you a great year on the road ahead.